All right, today we're going to tackle something called Oracle Integration Cloud, or OIC for short. Now, if you've ever felt like your business is running on a whole bunch of different apps that don't talk to each other, you're not alone. And OIC, well, it's basically the essential glue that holds everything together, making sure all your most important applications can communicate seamlessly.
So, to really get why OIC is such a big deal, we've got to start with the problem it's built to solve. It's a challenge that honestly almost every modern business faces. Just think about where you work for a second. You probably have one system for HR, right? A totally different one for sales, like Salesforce, and maybe another one for your operations or finance. They're all crucial, for sure, but do they actually talk to each other? And when those apps don't talk to each other, well, that's when you get what we call data silos. Information gets completely stuck. It means someone in finance is probably retyping sales data by hand, or when a new person gets hired in the HR system, that info never makes it over to the project management tool. This isn't just a little inefficient, it's asking for trouble, full of errors and missed opportunities. And that is exactly where Oracle Integration Cloud comes into the picture. The best way to think about it is like a universal translator for your entire business. It makes sure every single piece of data gets exactly where it needs to go and in a language that the system on the other end can actually understand. So what's the magic here? What makes OIC so powerful is that it creates this one central hub. And it doesn't care if you're using a modern cloud app like Salesforce or some older system that's running on your own servers, what we call on-premise. OIC is built to bridge that gap. It manages the whole data flow and automates the entire process, from start to finish.
So how does it actually do all this? It really boils down to this simple 5-step flow. First, something has to kick it off. That's the trigger. Let's say a new employee gets hired. OIC then uses an adapter to pull out that new employee data. Next, it transforms it, cleans it up and puts it in the right format for the next system. Then it routes it to the right place. And finally, it waits for a response to make sure everything went through okay. It's a clean, simple, and completely automated workflow.
Now, let's look under the hood a little bit at the building blocks that make all of this possible. First up, adapters. Now, these are the real game changer. They're basically pre-built connectors that save you from all the headaches and custom coding you'd normally need to link different apps. Then you have the integration flows, which let you visually map out the data's journey, making even really complex logic easy to build and understand.
A huge part of making all this work is just getting the data out of the source system in the first place. And Oracle Fusion gives you a whole toolkit for this. It's kind of like choosing the right vehicle for a trip. If you need to move a massive amount of data on a schedule, like for a data warehouse, you'd use the BI Cloud Connector. That's your heavy-duty truck. But for a quick real-time update, like a single employee changing their address, a REST API is your sports car. OIC knows how to work with all of them, which gives you incredible flexibility.
Okay, that's enough theory. Let's talk about how this actually plays out in the real world. I've got a few common scenarios that really show what a difference OIC can make. All right, first up, a classic problem. Let's say a company uses SuccessFactors for some of its HR stuff, but their main core system of record is Oracle Fusion HCM. How in the world do you keep employee data perfectly synchronized between the two without someone spending all day doing manual updates? And here is the OIC solution. It's actually pretty slick. SuccessFactors just drops an updated employee file, a simple CSV file, which is basically just a spreadsheet, onto a secure server. OIC is scheduled to look for that file, and when it sees it, it grabs it, reformats all the data to match what Oracle HCM needs, checks it for errors, and then loads it in. And the best part, the whole thing is totally hands-free. So what's the outcome? The data is always consistent. And the process can handle a company hiring 10 new people just as easily as it can handle 10,000. That is what true scalability is all about. Okay, let's look at another one. I mean, can you imagine the headache when project managers have to sit around waiting for the accounting team to manually export labor costs from the HR system and then import them into the project costing tool? It's painfully slow, and it's just begging for a typo. So in this case, OIC basically becomes the conductor of the orchestra. It kicks off the data extract from the HR system, grabs the cost data, preps it for bulk import, and then feeds it directly into the project system. What used to be a clunky manual task is now one single automated flow. And the payoff here is immediate. Suddenly, project managers have cost data that's actually accurate and up to date. This means they can make smarter decisions, manage their budgets better, and the whole operation just runs so much smoother.
All right, one last example for you. A customer calls in with a problem. A service request gets created in one system. But how does that turn into a work order for a technician who's out in the field? Well, a lot of the time, it doesn't. At least, not without someone manually connecting the dots. This is where OIC acts as that central hub again, the brain of the operation. The second that service call gets logged in a system like Oracle EBS, OIC jumps into action. It automatically creates a matching work order in Oracle Field Service Cloud, making sure a technician gets dispatched right away. It creates this perfect, seamless link between a customer's problem and your team's solution. And the result here? It's huge. First, management gets to see what's happening in real time. But more importantly, customers get help way, way faster. Okay, so we've seen OIC in action. Let's pull back for a second and think about the big picture here. What does this all mean for your business? What are the really key things to take away? If you remember nothing else, remember these 3 words: automation, accuracy, and scalability. Automation is about freeing up your people from boring, repetitive work so they can do something that actually adds value. Accuracy means everyone can trust the data, no matter which system they're looking at. And scalability means your business can grow without your processes breaking down. This quote really just nails it. The ultimate goal here is to create a single source of truth. When everyone agrees that, for example, your Oracle HCM system is the one and only place for official employee data, you get rid of so much confusion. It stops people from arguing about which spreadsheet is right and just improves data quality everywhere. And that really brings us to the final question, the one I want to leave you with. As you think about your own company, all the manual steps, the systems that don't talk, the data bottlenecks, just ask yourself this. What's the very first process you would connect? What's the one thing you'd automate to really push your business forward?